Welcome to the Butterfly Tumblr Radio channel. Are you ready to start today's story? Let's get started. Have you ever thought about how a marriage contract could set off a whirlwind of emotions? Imagine if your marriage is built on lies. And the truth could destroy everything. What would you do? Unveiling a complex entanglement of feelings. A battle about trust and betrayal is about to begin. Marry me. The gorgeous woman with a fit body offered me a roll of cash while proposing to me. It isn't every day that women offer me money and propose marriage. This presents an important question: what is the rationale for it? All was her wish for us to marry based on my attractive appearance? Not exactly. While I was pretty fit and stood only a little over 5 feet 6 inches. In my appearance, I was far from impressive, more like the typical Joe. I had a nondescript visage that blended into the crowd without a second glance. Mr. Average in all aspects, including height, weight, and hair color. I could have flourished as a spy, sliding in and out undetected. Perhaps she was attracted to my flashy sports car. Not likely. My 4-year-old Volkswagen diesel Jetta rarely attracted attention. Perhaps it was my living situation, a large home on the seaside with a yacht. Think again. I lived in the same old family home. My grandparents left me a decent home in a respectable middle-class neighborhood. But nothing fancy. So was it my jet-setting lifestyle and enormous wealth? Far from it. As a 27-year-old charity organizer, my compensation was equivalent to that of a McDonald's manager. I wasn't attending expensive galas. Instead, I was organizing 3K fund races and fundraising drives. Could it have been my silver tongue? Capable of seducing women effortlessly? Not exactly. My conversational abilities were not exactly famous. And I was certainly not a ladies' man in truth. I lost my innocence at the age of 18 after a lot of effort with someone who isn't particularly glamorous. And for those who believe differently, I am not John Holmes in the bedroom. That was also pretty ordinary. Not that the woman who proposed marriage ever saw my equipment. Women like her would generally ignore me. At best, they may inquire for directions or require assistance with luggage transportation. So what could possibly appeal to someone like her? I happened to be a member of a rather exclusive club. My forefathers were able to survive a variety of risks while delivering the appropriate genetic material at the appropriate time and location. Lucky me. On top of that stroke of luck, I was also a true American citizen, born and raised. Now I'm not boasting, but except for being straight and unmarried, in many parts of the world, being American means very little. But right now, for some people, particularly Lily, being an eligible American male was equivalent to having currency. Lily was a classic Asian beauty with long hair, high cheekbones, and a brilliant grin that could light up a room. She was thin and effortlessly elegant. She made coveralls seem nice. I couldn't help but be enamored whenever I saw her. Ron, listen to me. Pia's voice broke my thoughts as she held out the money. Lily, I tried not to chuckle. I cannot marry you. We barely know each other, Ron. You've known me for a long time. And Lily persevered fiercely. Do you want more money? I receive more, a request, more severance pay from Mr. Wilson's adult children go away money. Lily had been Mr. Wilson's caretaker for years before his death last month. She handled everything, including nursing, cooking, and housework. Mr. Wilson was my neighbor and previous football coach, so I knew Lily very well. She frequently asked me for assistance with chores or repairs as part of being a nice neighbor. However, marriage was a very different ball game. Lily, I shake my head at her. You are something else. I'm quite flattered, but why do you want to marry me? An American? Lily spat fiercely in her home language, plainly dissatisfied with the government agency. INS allows me 90 days to go. They say my visa has expired. Mr. Wilson's children will not help. They wish to sell their house. They gave me money, and now I give it to you. Marry me, Ron or Lily. It isn't about money. You cannot marry someone you do not love. Trust me. There is someone out there who will love you with your attractiveness. You can attract any man. Lily waved her hand dismissively. I do not have time for love. I need a good man. And you are a good man, Lily. Do you want to spend your life with someone you do not love? Just Lily stared at me strangely. Ron. Why do you say rest of life? I spoke with a lawyer about immigration. He claimed we only had to be married for 2 years. Then I can depart and marry a better man waiting for me at home. Now I couldn't help but laugh at Lily. You're quite the smooth talker. How can I turn down a proposal that tells me I'm not just second best but a loser to a guy I've never met? Why not simply return home to Mr. Wonderful and live happily ever after? Lily stomped her foot. Ron, why are you so stubborn? I need to stay in America. Make money for my mom and sister. I send all of my money home to pay for my sister's school. And my mother requires medication. If my mother dies and I stop sending money home, my sister will end up on the streets. Excellent. I thought. Now I'm going to be blamed for her mother's death and her family's homelessness. I attempted to reason with her. I told you. It wasn't about the money. If I marry you only for the purpose of it, it is considered fraud. And we will both end up in jail. How would that help your mother and sister if you are imprisoned in America and then deported? She was not giving up. Ron, if INS sends me back, I won't be any good to my mother or sister. Who cares if we marry? It's all right. I have seen your house. You need a good woman. I'm good. I cook well, take care of myself. And you will not regret it. Lily pleaded. Lily. I started. You are out of your mind. She appeared desperate, and to be honest, I wouldn't mind eating something other than microwave meals. Plus Lily was gorgeous. I attempted to let her down gently. This conversation was going nowhere. Let me think about it. We will discuss it later. I hoped Lily would forget about her ridiculous idea. Or I would simply avoid her. Lily astonished me by pushing the roll of cash into my hands. Ron, you need to make a decision immediately. Mr. Wilson's kids want me out by the weekend. I returned the roll of bills to Lily. Listen, Lily. I am not taking your money. I turned and headed back to my home. I did not need Lily's money. Not many people knew. But I was a trust fund beneficiary. But not one with millions. My grandfather had invented a critical ingredient in a popular regional soft drink years ago. Every year, the trust received a modest proportion of revenues using a sophisticated formula. Every March, I received a check, not enough to live an extravagant lifestyle, but enough to supplement any job I chose. The trust fund gave me time. It's time to explore my hobbies. I learned to fly, studied martial arts, painting, house repairs, first aid, and even experimented with music. I donated to charity and community events on a regular basis. Anonymously at 17. My grandfather taught me an important lesson after obtaining my initial trust check. I splurged on a fancy automobile and parties. However, 3 months into my spending spree, Granddad blocked my account and repossessed my automobile. It was a wake-up call to see my pals vanish like snowflakes in the sunlight. From then on, I kept my trust fund hidden and lived within my means. It shocked me that people, particularly women, valued beauty over content. Girls would drool over a man with a dazzling car and maxed-out credit cards. I couldn't gain the attention of a cute bank cashier until she noticed my account held high six figures. I'd yet to meet a girl who valued function over form. I've had multiple girlfriends break up with me due to my employment. It's not uncommon to hear, Ron, you're a wonderful guy, but you have such a boring dead-end job. You aren't going anywhere. I deserve better. One-night stands are entertaining, but they are becoming old. The next morning, Lily arrived at my house with numerous suitcases and boxes. I gazed in amazement as she unpacked her belongings into my living room. Ron, she said, I'll stay here while you consider how much better your life could be with me as your wife. Damn you, Lily. I started checking my watch. I was already late for a large meeting. You cannot stay here. Don't do anything until I return tonight. Yes, Ron. Yes, yes, Lily answered, disregarding me. You go to work. We'll chat when you get back. She shoved me out of the door. When I returned home that night, I had a speech ready. I intended to be firm but gentle. Lily may remain for a few days. But marriage was out of the question. I had asked the lawyers who oversee my trust fund if they might assist Lily with her immigration situation. But that would be all. Something felt different when I walked through the door. It took me a moment to figure out what it was. The home was spotless. I'm not messy. But it hadn't been this tidy since my grandmother died. There was an unbelievable smell emanating from the kitchen. Almost like magic. Lily emerged with a wooden spoon in hand. Lily. You are home early, I said. Still shocked by the transformation of my home. Lily gave me a kiss on my shocked face. I couldn't find any rice cookers in the kitchen. I took Mr. Wilson's rice cooker. He's passed away. So he won't need it. Where are yours? She waved a spoon at me. I managed to formulate an answer. Lily. I do not have a rice cooker. There should be some Uncle Ben's instant rice in the pantry. Simply boil water and place it in a rice packet for 2 minutes. Boil. You have rice? Lily appeared shocked. Ron. It isn't rice you need a rice cooker. She pointed with a spoon. You go clean up. Dinner will be on the table. Hurry up before it comes cold. Well. It smelled fantastic. There was no cause. My speech could not wait until after dinner. In the bedroom I discovered another surprise. I opened my dresser drawer to see my socks nicely folded and lined up. But something seemed odd. I picked up some socks and underwear. Damn. Lily had ironed both my socks and underwear. Dinner was great, some type of fish with rice and salad. And the dessert was excellent, a fruit cocktail I hadn't seen before. Lily kept asking about my day. And I really enjoyed our talk. She seemed to have an innate grasp of the people I worked with and offered solutions for customers and problems I described that I had never considered. Lily also shared a few amusing stories of her own, creating a positive atmosphere around the table. So now is as good a moment as any, I figured. I'd better get it over with and start my speech. But Lily cut me off. Ron. There's plenty of time to chat later. You should take a walk now, it's great for your health. True enough, Lilia replied. Let's go enjoy the wonderful evening. You go ahead. Ron, Lily countered. I'll start by cleaning up the kitchen. I enjoyed walking around the block. And Lily joined me. And we had a good time talking and walking. It was a good feeling. And I did not want to spoil the mood. I planned to set Lily straight in the morning. As we drove back to my house later in the evening, I crawled into bed. Lily was in the whole bathroom taking a shower and singing in a melodious voice with nearly perfect pitch. I assumed she'd sleep in one of the 3 extra bedrooms. I'd been sleeping naked for years and reminded myself to don a bathrobe if I needed to leave the room for any reason. I was almost asleep when I felt a warm figure remove the blankets and slide into bed with me. Lily conformed her petite frame to mine as a man. You may imagine my reaction as a female figure crept into my awakened nether regions. Lily, I started, trying to turn aside to hide my rock-hard Johnson. There are 3 other bedrooms that I can relocate if you'd like to sleep here. Lily licked my ear and mumbled something silly. This bed is unique in its features with that. Lily slid beneath the covers, fulfilling a fantasy I'd had since I first met her. But Lily in real life was better than any ideal I'd imagined. This wasn't just a brief thank you for the dinner date blow job, as I was used to from past women. Lily tormented me with her lips, tongue, and gentle hands, keeping me on edge. She made love to every part of me. And if medals existed, Lily would have won gold and silver. I worked quite hard to get here. I saw stars. And Lily helped me get off 3 times that night. She never allowed me to please her. But I fell asleep with a huge smile on my face. The next morning, I was able to cross one item off my bucket list, waking up to a there's nothing like the feel of warm female lips around your manhood on a cool morning. The morning just got better. No cold cornflakes for me. Lily had peeled fresh fruit while making some kind of pastry. I never had the chance to present my speech to Lily. I barely made it into work on time. I waited for days before Lily and I got married at the courthouse. Was it my heart or stomach making the decisions? Definitely not my brain. Every part of me craved a comfortable existence filled with nice food and clean clothes. But don't worry. I had the trust-recommended law firm draft a prenup outlining who gets what if things break apart. We conveniently bypassed the 2-year period. I had to persuade Lily to have a lawyer look into it. "Lily, why waste your money on a lawyer?" she asked. "You are a good guy, you will not deceive me." But I really appreciated Lily's company. She grew up in a fishing community outside of the city. Her father vanished at sea, leaving her with her mother and newborn sister. Her mother was determined for them to succeed. School was a huge issue, like a religion. Lily's mother led her to a moneylender when she was 11 years old to get a loan with terrible terms. Lily had to pay it back after school or work in a brothel operated by her lender if she failed to pay. Her sister would suffer. Lily received a nursing degree back home but was unable to obtain certification in the United States. She sent every penny home to help her family. Lily was always active outside the home, looking for ways to get money while she wasn't working as a home health aide. She was involved in a variety of activities, including selling Mary Kay cosmetics, hosting Tupperware parties, and selling jewelry at swap meetings. Lily was focused on making a profit wherever possible. She was an expert at bargaining and only accepted money from me for food. Lily would drive her car to the farmers or fish markets to obtain fresh produce at a lower cost. She always returned with new ideas and never slept more than 4 hours every night. Despite her hard labor, she never purchased anything new for herself, preferring to locate deals at consignment stores. It became a running joke that I never saw Lily looking anything less than flawless. Lily was full of surprises, even though she always had her hair and makeup done. After witnessing her extraordinary abilities in bed, I couldn't help but wonder, Lily, I remarked, reclining on the bed and smiling. "How did you become so skilled at this?" I stroked her lips. "Was it with Mr. Wonderful from home or American boyfriends?" "Never," Lily said, cuddling up to me. "I am a good girl. I had never kissed a man until I came to America." "Or did this?" She touched my groin. "I didn't have a boyfriend. Mr. Wilson showed me." I sat up shocked. "Mr. Wilson?" I cried. "Are you dead, neighbor? You took care of him in his last days, and this is how he repays you?" I was infuriated. How could my former football coach manipulate a defenseless girl like that? Thank goodness he was dead, otherwise I would have killed him. Lily appeared puzzled. "Ron, why are you so upset?" She softly massaged my stomach. "Mr. Wilson never made me do anything. I took delight in bringing him comfort. I did that to prevent Mr. Wilson from being hurt." What? I was baffled. Lily continued to massage me. "Mr. Wilson was occasionally ill, but he still had needs after his wife passed away. He used to go out and meet women, but he got in jail twice and lost all of his money. I did not want him to be wounded, but I knew he still had desires, so I watched videos on how to please him. He first protested, even kicking me out of his room. He threatened to terminate me if I did it again, but I waited until he was asleep and made sure he was content. He eventually quit struggling and allowed me to do it. Regardless of all our disagreements, I made him happy and kept him secure. "Good Lord, Lily," I murmured, stroking my chin. "I hope it wasn't part of your work description." "And Lily, you aren't doing this for other men as a home health aide or any other employment, are you?" Lily seemed astonished. "Ron, I am not a prostitute. I am your wife, and I only do this for you. I wouldn't do something like that for another man." Lily's enthusiasm was adorable, and I couldn't stop laughing. Maybe Mr. Wilson was simply a lonely old guy with needs, but I knew I'd be unable to resist Lily's tenacity for long. Even though our marriage was only for show, I made an attempt to maintain appearances for Lily's sake. Lily was well connected within the Asian community. Every weekend there was a celebration: weddings, baptisms, birthdays, you name it. Lily had transformed networking into an art form. She appeared to know everyone and everything that was going on. What I truly liked about these gatherings was the people and their perspectives on life. They didn't live for work, they worked to survive. Yes, they worked hard. The majority of them worked numerous jobs, Yet they always prioritized family and friends. Not the corporate ladder or hustling. I enjoyed a backyard barbecue with Lily more than any formal function. Nobody cared about your belongings or status, they were genuinely delighted to have you there. I knew I'd missed the sense of camaraderie once Lily and I split ways. Our 2-year arrangement was coming to an end. With less than 2 months until the divorce, I quietly directed my lawyers to prepare the documents. Even though our prenuptial agreement left Lily with nothing, I had set aside a significant sum for her to be revealed after our divorce. Lily was too proud to take handouts. She insisted on contributing her fair part of household expenses. I attempted to sneak the money back to her, but she was too quick for that. So I kept money for her in a separate account. I also took care of her automobile, filling it up and performing maintenance without her knowledge. Lily held a temporary green card, allowing her resident alien status suddenly. She appeared uneasy and out of place. I assumed it was due to our upcoming separation. She had recently started dressing nicer, making my favorite foods more frequently, and becoming more intimate in the bedroom run. Lily began staring across the table at me throughout supper. "I need another favor from you." "Sure stuff, Lily." I responded. "What is on your mind?" "I need to bring my mother and sister to America." Lily blurted out. "But my lawyer says I don't have enough money to sponsor them." We had filed our taxes individually as a married couple. Lily's primary source of income was cash, which she freely distributed to friends for various purposes. But she despised the idea of handing it over to a government agency she did not trust. "Lily," I chuckled, "I warned you that undeclared income could come back to haunt you someday. What do you want me to do about this? Why should I pay my money to those corrupt politicians?" Peggy, like many others around the world, had a negative attitude toward government authorities. "They claim I need your employment income to sponsor my mother and sister. We are getting divorced soon, so my reported income would not benefit you," I stated. "Run." Lily spoke uncomfortably while messing with her meal. "We need to stay married until my mother and sister visit America." "This is unexpected, Lily," I commented, shocked. "How long are we talking?" Lily expressed optimism that the situation would not last long. "The lawyer estimates 1.5 years. 2 years at the most." I claimed to be considering her suggestion. "There's a lot to think about." "What about Mr. Wonderful, the fisherman from home? Think about the delay." Lily waved her hand dismissively. "Family comes first. He understands. He will wait for me. There wasn't much of a choice. Return to microwave dinners and laundry duty while chasing various ladies. Or I could maintain my imaginary life with Lily for a little longer." I sighed heavily. "Okay, Lily. I suppose we can endure one another for a while longer." Lily's face brightened up with her signature smile as she returned to her food. I overheard her remark, "Thank you, Ron." About 6 months following that conversation, our relationship deteriorated. I was at a local sports bar for a fundraiser for my old college team, whose surprise had previously had a winning season. My alma mater was not recognized for athletics, but it had been a rebuilding decade. The bar's manager and assistant management were former members of the opposition team, and the clients organized a betting game with drinks and money wagered on every aspect of the game to benefit charity. I explained to Lily, trying to justify my presence at the sports bar the previous night. "I'm not a big drinker," I continued. "I normally stick to a beer or a glass of wine with supper." I vividly recall getting into a lip lock with one of the girls following an intense play on TV. But that's it. Until I awoke the next morning with a severe hangover. "Ron, wake up," Lily shook me, her words resonating in my head like hammers. "Damn it, Lily." I attempted to cover my head with a pillow. "I have a sense that death has passed. Can't you please leave me alone? We need to go, Ron. Grab your car, I have a lot to do today," Lily remarked severely, bringing me a glass of water and aspirin. She did not appear delighted. After stumbling out of the shower, Lily dragged me into her car and drove me to the sports bar where my car was parked. Lily was abnormally silent about halfway there. She couldn't keep it any longer. "Why did you behave so terribly with those women, Ron?" Lily started. "I lost a great deal of respect. I discovered you drinking with those women and acting like crazy beasts. I was not in the mood for a lecture." Lily let it go. "It is part of my job to attend these activities, Ron. You're already aware of this. It is unacceptable to make your wife seem bad and lose respect." Lily responded, "You are talking about losing respect." I shot back. "What about how you light up and appear to be floating on air for days after receiving a letter from Mr. Wonderful the fisherman? How do you think that makes me feel? I know you store his letters in a drawer and reread them. Is this the way a wife behaves, Ron?" "It is different," Lily replied, her tone softening. "I make certain you're never present when I read the letters. I'll never let you lose respect. I am your wife." "What you did was not the same," I retorted. "I'm not pleased, Lily. If you're miserable, you should consider changing jobs." "Like selling oranges near the exit ramp," I groaned. "Still with a headache, don't forget. You're only my wife on paper. The rest of you belongs to Mr. Wonderful the fisherman," I added, returning home. Lily kept her eyes fixed on the road, silent. "Ron, you say I do not make you happy. You always seem pleased with what we do." She finally responded. We arrived at the sports bar, and I looked in my pocket for the car keys. "I am feeling irritable." "Look, Lily. You usually make me happy that way. But this 2-year dry period is the longest I've gone without experiencing genuine connection. By real, I mean intercourse. I have grumbled since I was 18," I confessed. Lily did not respond when I got out of the car and slammed the door. The next day, a power failure forced us to close our workplace early. Driving into the driveway at home, I was shocked to see Lily's automobile there. I assumed she had a home health care job today. As I climbed the stairs to the bedroom, I heard sounds that made my heart sink, muffled, unmistakable sounds of intimacy. They were not sounds Lily had ever created for me. The slaps were rhythmic, and a deep male voice encouraged her to dig further. So there goes her promise to save herself for Mr. Wonderful or anyone else, I guess. We both got screwed while neither of us got to screw. I angrily assumed. I decided not to face Lily right away. So I grabbed my camera, made sure it had film and flash, and broke open the bedroom door. I'd send a lovely photo of Lily getting busy to her lover, Mr. Wonderful the fisherman. I prepared myself to sleep in bed, tangled up with some hunk, in the heat of the moment. But what I discovered was even more startling. Lily sat on the bed fully dressed, holding a notepad and a pen. Lily had the VHS remote beside her while watching an explicit video on TV. She occasionally paused the recording to take down notes, even rewinding to various scenes. A stack of VHS cassettes lay next to her on the bed. Lily turned her back so she didn't notice me. After brief confusion, I discreetly shut the door. What is Lily up to now? I wondered. Whatever it was, I decided I'd better wait and see. I went downstairs and out the front door. I did not have to wait long to find out. When I returned later at my normal hour, Lily met me at the door in a short nightgown and gave me a passionate kiss. "Ron, you make me really hot," she said, fluttering her eyelashes. "Let's go, I want you now." I struggled to hold back my laughter. It was hilarious to hear Lily talk like that. I'm so exhausted, but Lily refused to give up. "Oh Ron, let's go now. I have an itch that only you can scratch," she insisted, rubbing her hands over her body. "You know what I want." Now it was my turn to be startled. Lily asked me to do it. I was instantly aroused and needed to take a seat. "Are you certain about this, Lily?" I asked. Lily's eyes flashed with terror, but she continued her provocative conversation. "Oh yes, Ron, let's do it," she said, pushing her backside on me. I drew Lily into my lap and kissed her. "Okay. Here," I said forcefully. "But let's keep things genuine. That is enough of that talk. I want my wife back." I hoisted Lily, who weighed less than 100 pounds, and took her upstairs to her bedroom. Lily put on a robe and met me in the hall restroom. I gave instructions and Lily started speaking. But I interrupted her. No questions, Lily. Simply do it. When Lily entered the bathroom, I had prepared a warm bath with scented beads. Oh. Run, Lily, I said as she eased into the water. This feels good, she remarked. Good, Lily, I said before turning to leave. Stay there and soak until I come back. I returned 25 minutes later to find Lily almost as calm as jelly. When I pulled her out of the tub, I covered her in a large towel. I brought her to the bedroom and carefully placed her on the bed. Lily allowed me to make love to her. But no other touch. Life was going well. Lily excitedly checked the mailbox every day for information on her mother and sister's INS request. As far as I knew, Lily was still communicating with Mr. Wonderful, the fisherman. It bothered me a little, but I assumed he was only in Lily's letters every few weeks. But I had her in person every day for now. Overall, I felt like I had the superior deal at this point. About 18 months later, Lily's mother and sister received a letter from the INS confirming their approval to visit the United States. It's about time, I told myself. The INS demanded a lot of paperwork. Even more than when Lily and I got married. There was always another form, paper or record to fill out, which was always done in triplicate. After reading the INS message, I briefly pondered deleting the letter but then disregarded the idea. Lily had always been honest and did her best to keep her half of the bargain. Besides, it would merely postpone the inevitable. We had a fantastic run, but I'd miss Lily. I decided to give her the letter tonight. Unfortunately, tonight, I was assigned the awful chore of entertaining one of our contributors. A typical pampered, privileged kid. He had been expelled from multiple universities and had failed at every level of responsibility in his father's businesses. Now he was in charge of his father's firm's charity contributions, a position in which he couldn't jeopardize the family business's profits. Our town has many wonderful historical sites, restaurants and other attractions. But this pampered brat preferred to go to clubs. I've never really understood the appeal of clubs. What was the point of being teased by attractive women you could never have? It was like going to a restaurant and ordering meals but not eating. What is the point? But he was the client. And there I was, sitting for the third hour in a private booth with a busty bleach blonde named Bambi, Lexus or Bunny sliding all over us. He was drinking extensively while I was sticking to ginger ale. What do you all do, Bambi? SL Rabbit/Lexus inquired, taking off her top and swaying her boobs in the rich kid's face. Oh sweetie, work your tedders, he chuckled. We are philanthropic. I see her confused look. He explained, you know, aiding the poor and less fortunate, making our world a better place. He laughed and buried his face in her bosom. You mean like malnourished children in Africa, Bambi? Bunny Lexus inquired, approaching me and stroking her bottom as he stuffed dollars into her G-string. Something like that. I grumbled and pushed her away before standing up. Bambi SL Rabbit/Lexus was rising in his lap as she responded. I could never understand the whole problem. If all these people in Africa are starving, why don't they just go to, say, France? He laughed and poured his drink on me. I excused myself for cleaning up, exiting the booth to approach one of the bouncers. Hello guy, I said, putting up a 50 cash. Can you ensure that my companion and I get evicted from here quickly? The bouncer looked at the money in my hand. Sir, I have insufficient grounds to remove you gentlemen from the club premises. I inserted an additional 150 bill. I'd also appreciate a basic pounding from my companion for this service, I requested while the bouncer pocketed the money. We were shortly thrown out and ended up stacked in the alley behind the club. Following our quick retreat from the re-entrance, I was filthy but unharmed, while my partner was laughing wildly. Run, goddamn, he yelled, standing up. I haven't had so much fun since New Orleans. You are my kind of man. How much money do you need for your place, buddy? I smiled and helped him up. Come with me. I have some paperwork in the car you can sign now. Lily was waiting for me when I arrived home, and as she kissed my cheek, She wrinkled her nose at the smell of alcohol and cheap perfume on me. "Ron, why are you smelling like a brothel?" Lily asked. "I had to accompany a client to a foolish strip club where he dumped his drink on me," I explained, beginning to walk towards the stairs. I could tell Lily was skeptical. "Ron, you weren't with any ladies, correct?" she inquired wearily. "Of course not, Lily," I soothed her. But I could tell she still had worries. "Ron, if you weren't with other ladies, we should be closer right now. Let me please you," Lily yelled, pushing me onto the couch and attempting to unhook my belt and zipper. I chuckled and shoved her hands away. "Hold on, Lily. I've got something for you," I said, producing the INS letter from my suit coat pocket. But Lily seemed intent on undressing me. "Ron, I've noticed you gazing at women with large chests. Like cow teas. Let's see if you're telling the truth. I desperately want you." She kept on pulling down my underwear. "Okay, Lily. You win. I suppose you can wait till later to see the INS letter regarding your sister and mother," I conceded, flashing the letter in her face. Lily hesitated for a moment before grabbing the letter from me and leaping up from the couch to read it. "Ron, this is fantastic news. Mother and sister can travel to America," she exclaimed, clapping her hands. "I'll call Mommy right now. We need to prepare." Setting up the phone call to Lily's mother took hours due to the number of operators, country codes and international lines involved. It was more complex than a space shuttle launch. I was still seated on the couch, partly exposed. "Happier," I shouted out, pointing to my member. "How about our pleasure, your strong yearning for me?" But Lily didn't mind when I skipped upstairs. "Ron, you're a strong stud. You can be joyful while fooling me. I have stuff to accomplish now. We'll have fun later tonight," she called back before entering our bedroom. It was nice to see her joyful as I handled the paperwork and arrangements for bringing her mother and sister to America. I had my lawyer create our divorce paperwork. I wondered if Lily was already looking for apartments in town for when we split. I didn't ask about her plans. I figured she'd tell me when she was ready. Lily was a busy bee in the days leading up to her family's arrival. I do not think she slept at all. Our home was pristine, cleaner than a hospital operating room. Lily cooked up a storm, producing a variety of their favorite delicacies. I joked with her, asking whether she was expecting more than one mother or sister based on how much food she had in the fridge. Finally, the big day arrived, and we greeted Lily's mother and sister at the airport. I'd seen photos of them, but seeing them in person was different. Lily's mother was an older version of Lily, quiet yet assertive, and she spoke good English. Lily's sister, Daisy, was stunning. She was as beautiful as Lily but taller and more stunning. Daisy had the kind of looks that drew attention as she walked by. The fact that she spoke startled me the most. "Hello, Ron," Daisy said with a little West Texas accent. Daisy and her pals had grown up watching bootlegged VHS cassettes of classic American television shows like Dallas and Dynasty. Daisy was enamored with these series and had spent hours practicing to sound like the characters she knew from each season. An actor. And hearing her speak like someone straight out of Dynasty left me stunned. Daisy glanced at me with worry in her eyes. "Ron, honey, are you okay? Did I say something wrong?" "Not," Daisy responded, attempting to shrug off my amazement. "You are doing absolutely well. It's me. I am simply a little stunned. I'm delighted to meet you too." I was grateful that Lily intervened. "Ron, close your mouth, you will catch flies. Load the luggage into the car, let's go home." While I packed their belongings, Daisy and her mother settled in easily. Then came the second surprise. Mom took over the culinary duties. She was an outstanding cook who could transform anything into a delicious supper. Her cleaning abilities put paws to shame. I was delighted to find my old running sneakers looking fresh. Knew one day I dreaded returning to life before Lily. 2 weeks later, we sat down to another of Mom's delicious meals. But the atmosphere was strained. I assumed they were preparing to break the news about moving out. So I opted to handle it directly. "Lily, Daisy, Mom, I've started. I know you have something to tell me. So go ahead." I turned to Lily. We both knew this day was coming. I have the divorce papers ready in the attorney's office. Just tell me a date and I will file them. You do not need to put your life on hold anymore. You can return to Mr. Wonderful and your fisherman whenever you are ready. Daisy and Mom exchanged tight-lipped glances when the topic of divorce and fishing came up. They spoke quickly in their language before Lily addressed me. Ron, Lily began, I need another favor from you. Daisy leaped in, please let me. Ron, listen. Ron doesn't need the favor, it's me, Daisy, you see. Ron. I need to establish residency here for 6 months so that I can take my board exams. Could you put up with me for so long? This caught me off guard. I looked at Lily. Lily. How about you? Is this what you want? Do you want me to hold off on submitting the divorce papers? Lily looked to her mother and sister before responding. Ron, we are family, stick together. A week later, Daisy begged me to teach her to drive. Being locked in a car with a lovely Asian woman who follows my every command. Yes, I can manage that by the second day. I was thinking about signing her up for driving lessons. You know the cliché that Asian women are lousy drivers. Daisy did her best to live up to it. Her driving made me believe that the world's top drivers had returned to her own country because the evil ones were gone. She would only slow down for McDonald's. Unfortunately, she had to swerve between 3 lanes of traffic to get there. I swear McDonald's supply increased after Daisy arrived in town. The joy of being around Daisy outweighed the anxiety of her driving. After a few weeks, I was able to loosen my death grip on the door handle. After the second month, I was able to breathe normally as Daisy entered the freeway. Sure, the lessons took longer than intended. But I learned Daisy possessed intelligence to match her beauty. She, like Lily, was an excellent conversationalist who could hold her own in group debates. Then one day when we were talking in the car, Daisy delivered a bombshell. Ron, she spoke. Her gaze fixed ahead. I have to tell you that my sister Lily is as ignorant as they come. Whoa, Daisy, I chuckled. That's no way to discuss my future ex-wife. That's precisely what I mean, Ron, honey. Daisy persisted. I can't believe Lily is leaving you for that guy back home. Daisy, I responded, more serious than I felt. Lily and I had made an arrangement. It worked well for both of us. Bull, Daisy shot back. You are in love with Lily. And Mom, and I can tell Lily, I believe, also loves you. She simply doesn't realize it. I promised her that the day she lets you go, I'll swoop in and never let you get away with it. Daisy took one hand off the wheel and stroked her finger up my leg. Resting on me, keep both hands on the wheel, Daisy. I snapped. Daisy instantly took her hand from my groin and returned them to their normal locations. After a little pause, Daisy spoke out, sorry, Ron. I did not mean to grab you. I've never been with a guy before, so I'm unsure how to act. Mom kept a careful eye on me. I just wanted to let you know what's up. I relaxed before responding, no issue, Daisy. No harm done. So, how did Lily react when you told her you liked me? I didn't believe she'd care because she had Mr. Wonderful, the fisherman, waiting for her at home. Daisy was noticeably uncomfortable. Daisy was noticeably comfortable, Ron. My sister Lily freaked out when I indicated that I was interested in you. She acted as if I were ready to take her virginity. We had a massive brawl and even Mom got involved. I was perplexed. Why would I be bothered, Daisy? I am amazed she is bothered. Lily had been aching for her fisherman back home, much like a hungry man desires food. Daisy clenched her jaw. Ron, I need to tell you something. But you must agree not to tell Lily. I can't do it. Daisy P is still my wife. I do not conceal secrets from her. Daisy tightened her jaw again. Ron, I can't tell you everything then. We drove silently for a while longer. Eventually, my curiosity got the better of me. Okay, Daisy. I swear not to spill the beer, so what is the deal? I instructed Daisy to pull into a parking lot and neatly back into a place as I had taught her. Ron, Pierre's boyfriend, the fisherman. He has 2 children with 2 different ladies. And they don't know each other. The guy is a sailor with a girl at every port. I couldn't help but chuckle. Wow, Daisy. That is some news. However, You must inform your sister that keeping her in the dark is unfair. Daisy turned the car off. Ron, no one knows this. It doesn't stop with Mom and Honey. Things become worse. The guy wants to be her life partner. He doesn't mind spending long evenings away from home. Home on a yacht filled with men. He's quite popular with the other fishermen. I slammed my fists upon the dashboard at Daisy. Are you suggesting he's bisexual? Plays on both teams, there's a lot to take in. I paused, thinking, you have to tell Lily, Daisy. You cannot conceal this from her, so. Is this simply rumor, or do you have evidence? Daisy hesitated before responding. Ron. I was an intern at the hospital when he brought in a girl with a baby. The child looked just like him. And he claimed fatherhood a month later. The same thing happens at a different hospital with a different girl and baby. I asked around and discovered that the girls reside with their parents while he lives at one of the houses when he is not aboard the fishing boat. Daisy looked aside regarding the guy thing. He is not gay. It's just guys being themselves and making do. There are no women present on the fishing boat. He does not appear concerned by it. It is common knowledge, Daisy responded firmly. Matching her stare, you need to tell Lily. No, Ron. Lily will not trust me. She's stubborn and still considers him her high school sweetheart. But that was long ago, Daisy responded, hesitating. Actually, Ron, I've changed my mind. You can inform P if you wish. Daisy started the car. And we drove home in silence. I was lost in thinking. Should I tell Lily she trusts me? What if she did? What does it entail for us? Then it struck me. I understood I loved Lily. But I needed her to love me completely. If I informed her about Mr. Wonderful, she might decide to stay. But only as a second option, selfish as it sounded. I wanted to be her first one pick. Daisy, on the other hand, had grown closer to me and admitted to having feelings for me. Maybe letting Lily go was the correct decision. Or was I simply following an illusion? The drive home was silent. Finally, I devised a plan that I regarded as a win-win situation. I wouldn't tell P about Mr. Wonderful just yet, allowing her extra time before we left ways. If Lily really loved me, I wanted to hear it from her. If she still wanted her divorce, I would let her go and pursue Daisy after the breakup. I'd tell you everything I knew about Mr. Wonderful. Lily may then make her decision. But I wouldn't be in the image. And she couldn't get back to me. As we pulled into the driveway, I felt a strange peace sweep over me. The house had not been this joyful since my grandparents died. Daisy spent a lot of time studying with me, while my mother kept the house clean and cooked so good that I had to manage my weight. Lily and I came closer, but I couldn't tell what she was thinking. As she gazed at me, was she going to move out? Thinking about her future at home. Our bedroom life was still busy, so I had no indicators. The three ladies' dinner chats were lively, as were Lily's weekend parties. Daisy and Mom had twice the joy. There wasn't much I could do but wait for Daisy to finish her test and keep my attorney updated on the divorce papers. Everything rested on Lily's next move. On Daisy's test day, Lily was at home, while Mom went shopping, and I was working in the den. Lily arrived to grab me and I noticed she was teary. This might be it. I was expecting the worst. I assumed Lily waited for us to be alone to save my feelings. When I entered the bedroom, Lily was sitting on the bed looking tired yet gorgeous. There was an envelope addressed to Mr. Wonderful, the fisherman, beside her, which was unusual, as Lily typically kept those letters secret. It was no secret that she corresponded with him. But I stopped inquiring about the letters once I began to develop genuine feelings for her. Ron, Lily began taking deep breaths, I told him. She continued, pointing to the letter. I do not want to be his wife anymore. I wish him luck and encourage him to throw out all of his old letters. I'd like to be your wife if you'll have me. Why now? Lily, what has changed? I asked. Lily, and I did not change, you transformed me. You made me love you. Lily hugged me hard. I've always known you were a good man. Mom advised me not to let you leave. Then Daisy expressed her interest. Now I understand what everyone else sees. I gently moved Lily aside. Lily. Staying with me because your mother or sister wants it is not a good enough excuse. I'm not a toy you retain simply because your sister thinks I'm valuable. Lily shakes her head. No, Ron. Daisy helped me see what was right in front of me. What you've done for me and our family exemplifies what a loving husband does for his wife. It's all about action. Not fancy words and promises made from afar. Gratitude is good for pets but is not a strong basis for a long-term marriage. I told her it was simply appreciation that you decided to assist me. But now it is love. Lily insisted. Okay, Lily. Since when? I wondered whether Daisy had told Lily about Mr. Wonderful back home and if I was only a consolation prize. Lily, I realized I started to love you last year. I didn't care if the letters arrived. Sometimes I didn't feel like writing back. It was because of you. I was looking forward to our time together. I even kept finding reasons to postpone the divorce. We might not have much money. But we do have each other. I will do everything I can to make you happy. Lily appeared genuinely earnest. It was decision time. I had to choose a path. I kissed Lily tenderly and she drew me into the bed. Then she began to do the things. Now run. I'll give you something you should have had a long time ago. Lily murmured into my ear. A University of Texas study found that marriages based purely on passion frequently fail because spouses have excessive expectations and limited potential for growth in the relationship. This adds to America's high divorce rate. But I thought Lily and I had a better chance because we had nowhere to go but up. Next month is our 21st wedding anniversary, Lily. With our 4 children. I believe she barely gets approximately 5 hours of sleep per night. Between childbirths, Lily fulfilled the qualifications for becoming a registered nurse and passed the examinations. She's been the charge nurse at the local hospital for years, keeping both new and senior doctors on track. The entire family cheered downtown as Lily became a U.S. citizen. Her smile still fills any room. And my feelings for her grow stronger every day. I mentioned my trust fund to Lily. But it didn't significantly alter our lifestyle as our family grew. Lily purchased the house next door for Mom to dwell. The kids like having Grandma close, as do we. Daisy received a lot of attention when she first started working. But she didn't go out very often. Her repeated visits to McDonald's led to her meeting, dating and then marrying the manager. There's a regular decent person. When they filed their taxes after getting married, Daisy discovered he wasn't only the manager, he had multiple McDonald's franchises. They'll be celebrating their 17th wedding anniversary this summer with their 3 children. Regularity might be beneficial at times. I hope you enjoyed that story. Here is another one. Emma and I, Jack, have been married 4 years. We are both in our early 20s and enjoying married life. We both have decent careers and have made plans. I'm working hard to advance to vice president and am putting my best foot forward. Emma's salary, working as a seamstress at a nearby factory, was being set aside as a deposit for a property. In about 6 months, we will be able to purchase a home. And after my promotion, she'll be able to live on one wage and cease working to have children. She adores children and dreams of becoming a mother. Beyond everything else, she realizes that we must be financially stable. But if I didn't insist on it, she wouldn't be concerned. If it was a Friday in early April, and I got up early to get to work because today was a crucial day in my advertising campaign, as I had a presentation to give about a new product we were working on. The presentation involves 3 teams, and it is understood that the presenter who wins will be appointed VP. We worked hard, and our presentation was due at 10:00 a.m. When I emerged from the restroom, Emma was already up and remarked, "Good luck with your presentation. And don't forget to come home early. I want to take you out to celebrate and discuss something." I knew I'd be fatigued after the presentation, and it'd be difficult to leave early. But Emma was really understanding of early mornings, late nights, and everything else that comes with a lot of stress in one's life. I owe her a big debt of gratitude and am looking forward to a pleasant night. The show went well, and 2 senior board members praised me, indicating that we were close to winning. When I returned home about 5:30, I was in a good mood as I climbed up the stairs. I noticed my wife dressed to the nines and ready to go out. When I saw her, I whistled and inquired, "Where are we going?" She offered me an appealing smile and mentioned, "This wonderful French restaurant. You have worked really hard to safeguard our future. I felt you deserved something exceptional. I prefer burgers and fries." But Emma requested a special night out, which I could accommodate. Her plans definitely included some lovemaking, which I was looking forward to. I entered the restroom to refresh up and change. I thought I heard Emma speak but left it at that. The restaurant had a huge parking lot and was located immediately off Castle Street. It is modest but the cuisine is good. I had eaten there about a month prior for a business conference and was expecting a quiet evening. When we walked in, there were just 2 other couples present, and we were sat in the rear in a peaceful corner. We discussed the presentation and how it went. We ordered appetizers and main courses from the menu, and as the server moved away from our table, I watched an unfamiliar couple enter the room and sit down. Without waiting for the waiter, I recognized him, but I couldn't identify him. He was approximately 40, in good shape and smelled like money. She is no older than 20 to 21 and appears out of place, too old to be his daughter and too young to be his companion. She holds a large bag in her hands and pulls out a clipboard and a few other items before standing up and walking over to one of the couples. The chat lasted a few minutes. She took a few notes on the tablet and returned to their table. By this point, the man was already conversing with the waiter as if they were buddies. I also saw Emma was silent and scared also. Her phone was on the table, and we have a rule in our house that no phones are allowed at the dinner table. Something was not right. The girl kept coming over to the other tables, talking for a few minutes, and taking notes before leaving. The man sat impassively, talking to the waiter but without ordering, and I noticed that my wife was definitely distracted by something. A young woman approached our table and said, "Hi. My name is Judy. I am a psychology and ethics student at the institution, and I am conducting a survey for my final thesis. Would you be interested in participating?" I apologized and told her that my wife and I were here for a special occasion and did not want to be disturbed. "Perhaps if you provide us your cell phone number, we can contact you back and do it another time." Her expression was one of complete perplexity. It was as if she had been assured that I would not say no, and she didn't intend to say no. My wife instantly intervened. "Jack, this girl needs our assistance. I'm sure we can give her some of our time." This seemed unusual to my wife. She couldn't stand that type of interjection. I said, "Please not now, we have a lot to talk about." But she persisted, saying, "Please ask your questions." I took a deep breath, and then the first question came out. "Have you seen the film Incentive Proposal?" I said. "No," but my wife said, "No, we haven't. But we know the movie's plot." I really disliked this girl. And when I looked at the man she came in with, he had interrupted a conversation with the waiter and was now watching our table, something he didn't do with the others. Judy looked at me but I refused to look at her. So she asked, "Jack, may I call you Jack? How do you feel about that suggestion and its impact on your marriage?" Unable to resist, I said, "I have a feeling you don't care if I consent to be called that. But such a proposition, if approved by my wife, would end in an immediate divorce." Emma raised her head but Judy did not react. She said, "Do you believe you have the right to control your wife's body by denying her something like this?" I laughed. "Absolutely not," was my response. "If she takes the offer, I will not meddle with her. But while she is abroad doing her own thing, I will be in our house dividing bank accounts, packing my things and filing divorce papers." Judy then questioned, "What if the offer was, say, 2 million? Wouldn't that have secured your life? If the deal was worded in such a way that you wouldn't get a dime if you divorced her, would you change your mind?" "She knows me well, Judy. I murmured, staring her straight in the eye. For the first time I make enough to live on. I don't need to make a living by selling my wife like a cheap prostitute. And in fact, if she had agreed to that money, I would have given it up in the divorce. Dirty money does not provide happiness, so no. This offer won't change what I do now. I need to go to the bathroom and cancel our order. You've spoiled my mood. And I'm not hungry anymore, Alice. Be ready to depart when I return. I quickly sprang up and proceeded towards the bathrooms, stopping at the waiter's desk and said, "Please cancel the reservation for our table. The folks you let in are making us uncomfortable. And I don't want to dine here again." The waiter looked at me puzzled. "But this gentleman is paying your cost for assisting with the survey. Isn't that correct?" I was bewildered. So I turned around and went to the restroom. I had a nasty feeling that the second shoe was going to drop since my prior visit to the restaurant. I knew I could walk around the back of the lavatory and stand without drawing attention to myself. I stood and watched my wife type a text message onto her phone. A man's cell phone beeped. So he took it up and began typing. When he clicked send, my wife's phone rang. She picked it up, read, and typed the text. Then his phone rang. I observed this for a few minutes. And it was clear they were texting. I returned to the table. "Who is the idiot with Judy?" Emma looked around and responded, "I'm not sure why." "Oh, something's wrong here. He just paid for our meal. I believe I know him. But I am unable to identify him. And you appear to be having a pen-pal interaction with him." I said it as if it were obvious. Emma murmured, her expression indicating that she had been found out. "He was simply trying to be courteous after she interrupted our meal." I replied that I was in a poor mood and had lost my appetite. "We should go." Emma became agitated and remarked, "No. We can't be that rude. Simply sit here and rest while I go to the restroom." I watched her walk away and saw she looked at the man. Judy then approached me, sat down, placed her hand on the table next to mine and asked, "One more question. What figure do you believe is reasonable?" I laughed and placed my hand on hers. She did not remove it. I replied, "That whether she sells her body for 120 or 2 million. She is still a prostitute, so no. No amount of money can help." Having stated that, I started to grasp her hand. Her hands were thin, however mine were thick. So the pressure became excruciating. She spoke swiftly and said, "Stop it immediately." I responded, "Not until you tell me what I want to know." By this point, I was on the verge of breaking one of her fingers. So I relieved the pressure but did not release her hand. She threatened to shout if I didn't stop. I only smiled and said, "Go ahead. But I bet you won't, since something is wrong here. And I doubt you'll want to go through the hassle of calling the cops after I beat the out of you. And that is exactly what is going to happen right now because I am so angry. Tell me, who is he?" She tried to draw her hand away. So I squeezed it again this time. Her finger crunched beneath the pressure. And she yelled out. I kept pressing and a man ran up. I yelled, "Stop. Or the rest of your fingers will get the same thing." He paused and then my wife approached and asked, "What's happening?" I smiled. "That's exactly what I'm attempting to figure out. Judy, if you want your hand to stay lovely, please answer my inquiry now." She responded through tears, "Charles Armitage Jr." I let go of her hands and said, "Get out of here and never come near me again." When I looked at Charles Armitage Jr., I recognized him. Charles Armitage owns the plant where Emma works. And this is clearly his oldest son. I met him at a few gatherings. But he was a lowlife who only obtained a job in manufacturing management because of his father. He has a reputation as a playboy. And there are accusations that he solicits married ladies because he believes it makes him a bigger man. Emma approached and sat down. "Charles promised us 2 million if we spent the weekend with him. I accepted because it would provide for us indefinitely. We'll be able to buy a new home without a mortgage, set up college trust funds for the kids, and begin work on our baby as early as next weekend. We will not have to wait for your promotion." I stared at the table silently. "Did you say yes?" "Yes," she said, just as Charles Armitage Jr. Sat down at the table. I did not move or look at him. Then he replied, "I can fulfill all of your dreams for just 48 hours of your wife's time. The setup is quite simple. I will deposit $2 million into your joint account on Sunday night when she calls to confirm that you are still home. If you depart, I will make an account for Emma that you cannot access. It's your decision." I was gazing at Emma but was speaking with him. "You can put your $2 million where the sun does not shine. If my wife prefers to be I do not want her or the money. I'm out of here. If she is in the car we can still save our marriage. But if she isn't, I'll pack everything and go before she comes back. So Emma, now is the time to make a decision." Emma stared at me angrily. "Jack, I want the baby now. Not in another 2 years when you can get the cash. This is our opportunity. And you are going to blow it," I chuckled, which seemed to dissuade her somewhat. "We are not planning to have children for the foreseeable future. This small joke has harmed my faith in you so badly that even if you go with me now, we'll need years of treatment if you accompany him. However, I will never touch your hole with a 6-foot sanitized barge pole." The expression on her face was amazing. And when she talked, I could feel drool coming out of her mouth. I despise that word. How can you undermine my dignity by saying that about me? I stood up, dropped my napkin on the food I had just brought, and remarked, "That word is more than apt because it exactly describes my thoughts on that small dramatization and how I now feel about you. I am leaving, Emma. It's time to make a decision." I turned to leave, and the jerk attempted to stand up but lost his footing. I placed my palm on his forehead, pushed him back into the seat, and saw him fall backward. I kept walking, and a waiter stood in front of me. I raised my hand as if to push him away, and he took a silent step back. Emma called my name as the door closed behind me. I quickly walked over to the car, opened the door, and got inside. I took a few deep breaths and exhaled, allowing the tension to leave my body before starting the engine. I slowly drove by. Emma was still there. I increased my speed and drove home, retrieved my luggage from the closet shelf, and began packing on autopilot. It took me an hour to pack all of my clothes and toiletries into numerous suitcases and black bags. The phone rang and it was Emma. She asked, "How are you, baby? I sincerely apologize for this, but this deal is too wonderful to pass up. I'm going to hang up the phone right now, and I'll see you around 7:00 on Sunday." I stayed mute, simply holding the phone to my ear. The stillness was clearly agonizing for her, but I felt numb. She's going to do this because she believes it'll be beneficial for us. Then she added, "Look, we can talk about it on Sunday when I get back. I wish to have the kid as soon as possible, as this will ensure his survival." I just asked, "Who will be the father?" She was taken aback but responded, "You, of course. Not in this lifetime," I said, and hung up. So I packed everything, including the rest of my personal belongings, into the car, went online banking the deposit account at home and withdrew half of it. Then I went to the online divorce service, filled out the application, paid the fee, and scheduled Emma's service for Monday at 8:00 a.m. As I left the house for the final time, Emma leaped out of the car yelling, "Stop, Jack, stop. It was only a prank, a belated April Fool's joke." The driver was an accomplice who got out of the car and said it was all a joke. "We believed you were returning to the restaurant. We were there for the final 2 hours then. Emma received your divorce letter, and we hurried back." I glanced at Emma silently. If this was a joke, it had caused irreversible damage to our marriage. I need to get out of here for a few days and reflect on those remarks, I said. I got into my car and started the engine. I heard her scream, "Please withdraw the divorce papers." On Saturday afternoon, I was sitting with my brother and his wife Becky. Becky had spoken with Emma a few hours earlier and returned to tell us about it. "Jack," she began, "I don't believe it was a joke. But it surely wasn't an attempt to sleep with another man. She is so desperate to have children that she will do anything. On the other hand, she wasn't really into it. Her plan was to convince you to say you had enough money to take care of her. And then she may respond, well, if there's enough money. Don't wait for the kids to eat. He is our co-worker friend, but believe me, he isn't even remotely interested in having sex with Emma. In fact, he probably prefers you, however. She now knows she is to blame for the circumstance in which you have lost all trust in her. She believes that if you just had the baby, all the love and trust would return. The question is, can you do it? It's a great question. Emma, my best friend, has been asking me when we can have kids ever since she became pregnant 6 months ago. The trouble is that postponing on this means I'm not certain about everything. And I definitely don't want to raise a child in a dysfunctional family. I got up from the table and went to bed around 4:00 in the afternoon to give myself time to reflect. By Sunday my head hadn't cleared. My true problem is in those 2 hours. If there had been a setup, a prank, or an attempt to impose her point of view on the baby, she would have returned home with immediately. The fact that she didn't means she has something to discuss with Charles. I likewise did not buy the statement, Charles would prefer you. I decided to allow them to file for divorce. Whatever happens, a month later Emma, with Charles's assistance, got a lawyer. And the court ordered 12 counseling sessions spread over 4 weeks. 3 per week. We sat in front of the counselor, a young woman who gave me the same look as my first grade teacher when I couldn't recite the letters. Emma went on and on about her strategy, which had been conceived by Charles. Judy, ironically, was a psychology student doing a paper on how men react to stress. I was supposed to be her famous example. When Emma finished speaking, the counselor stared at me and nearly spit out the words, "So Jack, you have heard the entire story. Why are you pursuing divorce when your wife wants and needs you?" Yep. I assumed Jack would be beaten 3 times per week for the next 4 weeks. I stared the counselor in the eye and asked, "Do you really believe that? Because I don't." She has a 2-hour black hole in her account. What she did between the time I left the restaurant and the time she arrived home, just enough time to get a room, get laid and go home. I heard Emma take a deep breath, and the counselor sat up straight. When she began to talk, I said, "I'm not done yet. And we promise not to interrupt people while they speak. So I expect you to respect those guidelines." She never discussed the 2 hours and provided no explanations or proof. What happened in those 2 hours tells the true narrative of that evening. But you are merely discussing its preparation. The counselor was horrified. "You should get over it. Then you and your wife can rekindle your marriage." I stood up and said, "Your job is to see if our marriage can be saved, not to convince me to stay in a marriage I want to leave. If she doesn't prove to me that nothing happened in those 2 hours, I'm leaving." The counselor denounced me to the judge for not cooperating, and I was back in court 2 days later. The judge examined me from head to toe as if he were looking at something he had scraped off his shoe. "Why aren't you cooperating with the counselor?" I responded, "Perhaps you might listen to the recording of the first session." The counselor advised me to forget about Emma's wrongdoing. "Your Honor, it is not the counselor's responsibility to lecture me. I need to know the truth about what happened that night. And both my wife and the counselor are attempting to hide it. Cooperation is a 2-way street. If they refuse to answer my inquiries, I will be unable to honor their request to forgive my wife because I am unaware of her actions." The judge paused for a time before asking, "What do you want to know?" I promptly said, "It is simple. Her timeline contains a 2-hour black hole that she refuses to disclose. I want to know what happened. My wife refuses to talk about it. And the counselor thinks I don't need to know. I'm here today because the counselor wants you to tell me to stop asking that question because, in her opinion, asking such a question constitutes uncooperative behavior." The judge scratched his chin, resembling a 1920s movie star, and continued, "You have a right to know. Please sit down." I asked the counselor to come up as a witness. My wife's attorney, who was present with the counselor, rose up and stated, "Your Honor, she is not involved in this case. She has her own work to do and simply wants Mr. Samuels to stop blocking putting her on the witness stand. It will not improve matters at this point. The judge became clearly enraged and stated, "This lawsuit has been filed by your client and her counsel, claiming that Mr. Samuels is uncooperative. Mrs. Samuels is being recalcitrant, and the consultant is covering for her. Either she testifies, or I end counseling and give the divorce. What will it be?" The counselor and the counselor had a heated argument. However, the counselor eventually stood up and took the stand. Albeit reluctantly, she took the oath of office. And the judge inquired, "Do you know what has occurred in these 2 hours?" The counselor remained in silence until the judge stated, "Madam, I remind you that you are under oath and must answer this question." Softly, which I could hardly hear, she responded, "Yes." The judge tapped his finger on the table, waiting for her to start speaking. And when she did not, he urged, "Please enlighten the court as to what was there and speak louder this time." Mrs. Samuels and Mr. Armitage went to the pub next door and spoke about what had happened and how they planned to deal with the consequences. Mrs. Samuels believed that Mr. Armitage's proposition to her and Mr. Samuels was the quickest road to the huge family she was dreaming. She expected Mr. Samuels to come back looking for her. But when he issued the divorce notice, she panicked and realized she shouldn't have put the proposition on the table to see if he would accept it. She now sees that it was a mistake and wishes to forget everything and move on with her life. My responsibility as Mrs. Samuel's counselor is to explain to him that it was only an offer and that if he refuses it, she will forget about it. The judge laughed and asked, "Do you understand what you are saying? You were not appointed by Miss Samuels to make Mr. Samuels comply with her request. The court appointed you to determine whether or not their marriage might be preserved." The counselor intervened, stating, however, if he can get over the proposal and accept that it was refused, the marriage will be preserved. The judge looked over his glasses and remarked, "Counselor, I am terminating these sessions because you are not acting independently." Mr. Samuels turned to me and said, "What do you want to get out of this hearing?" My attorney looked at me, then stood up and stated, "My client wants the divorce to go through." Emma's attorney virtually sprang out of his seat. "Your Honor, you cannot stop the hearing on that basis. It must continue. My client wants this marriage to last." The judge glanced at him and remarked, "If you played fairly, I would, however. You have made the consultation a sham by attempting to conceal vital facts from Mr. Samuels. I disagree with that. I approve of the divorce an hour later. I arrived home to find Emma in tears on the threshold. Why, Jack, all I wanted was a large family. And this was only a means to a goal. I took her hand and led her inside the house. You set me up, lied to me, and treated me as a fool. You were aware that the proposition was undesirable. But you made an effort to honor it. I couldn't be with a lady who did that to me." She continued to cry and said, "But I want us to be together. I want 4 children with you. And I don't want us to need anything." I simply shook my head. "Go grab your 2 million. And then find someone to give you your kids. What about me? I could never be with a woman who thinks that's appropriate. Goodbye, Emma." I opened the door and entered into a new world. Who knows if it will be better? Thank you for tuning in. If you enjoyed this episode of the story, please give it a like. And don't forget to subscribe to get notifications for updates.